Hurricane Laura was the worst storm I've ever worked in the 24 years of my career at SWEPCO. There was trees down, poles down on the ground, transformers laying in the road. It was terrible.
Hurricane Laura was incredible with the damage it caused. Over 1,600 poles and many locations where it was difficult. You couldn't get a truck to it. The first time we had hurricane warnings that went all the way to the Arkansas state line and covered Bossier and Caddo parishes and all the parishes up to here. And then the hurricane force winds went into Arkansas. The damage was significant.
And could you ever imagine going through the number of towns that we went through where there was no electricity, not one light on?
No, that was very remarkable, and the first time we've ever seen that, of course. In our territory, from Natchitoches south, no customers had electricity.
They had 100% outage, not a single light bulb burning in the entire area. So all the cell phone towers were down. None of them were working. Then we had no internet connection. None of that worked. And we all looked at each other like, what are we going to do now? You know, and normally we'd just put that information on their phones or on their MDCs in the trucks, and they'd gather it. Couldn't happen. We actually had to physically take the paper out, find the crews and give them paper. It was chaotic the first few days.
Another first for me was I never seen a bucket truck hook up to a boat. And I thought that was really interesting to see it driving down the street.
We had to boat some of our guys in just to fix the power, you know, because it's not truck accessible or vehicle accessible.
The Valley District it's pretty complex in terrain. It can deal from inside the city to roads that have a 20-mile line that goes to a hunting lease, but you got to get it back on because there's one or two residential customers on it, and so a lot of it's flooded, muddy, and it's not along the street side. And so track equipment, buckets, diggers, and those things where you have to spend a little more time getting in there where you can't get in there with normal trucks that are going to get stuck. And so it takes a lot more time. It's a lot more difficult situations down in those really, really remote locations.
What was remarkable is the way the people came together. Not only did we here at SWEPCO come together, and then we were able to get all those crews. We brought in somewhere close to 3,000 people from outside, and they all pulled together and worked as a team.
The largest number of people SWEPCO has ever called to a storm.
We've never had one base camp. And in this situation, we've had 3, 4, maybe almost 5.
And we had to do that because there were no hotel rooms. People from Lake Charles and South Louisiana had flooded the area because they had no place to go. They needed a place to stay. And so naturally they came to the hotel rooms, and so we had to react and use base camps to house our more than 3,000 workers that came in from all over. From as far away as Canada, all the AEP operating companies.
The Canadians, first time they saw a rattlesnake was here in Louisiana. And then to see some of the gators and hear about that, we had several say, okay, go show me one, you know, because they were down here wanting to see that. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of stress, it's a lot of issues going on, but also for those that's on the storm team, it's an adventure. It's a storm adventure, and that's what a lot of people get out of it and will come out of it.
But the storm didn't just affect our customers, but it also affected us, our employees personally.
Their homes were severely damaged. Their barns and basically many of their possessions were lost, and because of the hurricane, it was sad and devastating. But they came out to work and got people's power back on. And even though at their house they had great damage and no power.
Had several trees on my property, some on my house, several on my outbuildings, my pole barn, boat. Basically, I lived in a camper. Had a generator. I mean, couldn't really power up my house. Didn't have, all my stuff was tore up, so we basically lived in a camper for 2 weeks.
It was at home. The storm was at home. And I mean, we went off and worked plenty of storms, but this one hit home. And being without power for 7 days and you're working in it every day, it was tough.
They worked under some really strenuous conditions because not only was it a lot of damage, but we had to work in the heat. The humidity was high. It was very hot. And then they had to also tried to practice their COVID 6 feet separation where they could, or with a mask, and so it really added to the difficulty of this storm.
They are doing a tough job in a environment that's not in air conditioning. So it's outside, it's humid, it's 16-hour days. They are a frontline hero, especially to our customers and to the SWEPCO family.
When that feeling of appreciation is out there and people just stop and put a sign out, you know, it makes it all worthwhile. You know, you're away from your house and you're sleeping, like I said, in a few hours of the night. You're not eating the best food out there, but at the end of the day, it's rewarding when you get people's lights back on. So it's not about us, it's about them and getting power restored, and that's why you want to become a lineman.
Communities that we was in, they catered us food, you know, and pretty much most of them was coming around offering water, sandwiches, whatever, cooked fish, gumbo. Some of the guys that worked with me said that their communities wouldn't do that, probably wouldn't bring, you know, and be that nice, you know. They was really grateful. We really appreciate our customers and being patient with us and restoring the electricity to them. And
it was an incredible outcome and tremendous challenges, but the team, I just feel very fortunate to be a member of the team because it was such an incredible result.